Gilbert, it's that time in the NFL offseason where free agency's over. Well, free agency's still going, but the hard time of free agency is past. The draft is now gone. Now all you get to is OTAs, rookie mini camps, all that stuff. But Gilbert, it feels like the teams still have holes. The Chargers still have holes that they need to maybe address now with free agency. Last year they did it, Gilbert. They got guys like Bryce Callahan. They got Kyle Van Noy. They filled some. They were able to get some guys that really Morgan Fox that contributed to the team. Now we're going to talk about how the Chargers can now this year how they can replace some of the guys that maybe they're some spots that they know that they need to add players to.
Yeah, you reminded me last week saying, remember when they got Bryce Callahan and I'm already blanking on the Patriots guy name. I shouldn't blank on his name, but
Van Noy, Kyle
there
Van
you go.
Noy.
Yeah, shout out to Cal Vino. He's been on the show. My bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that time of year where you get them late, productive veterans that help you out. Have experience, can help out the younger players, the ones that they know the game and they have to wait their turn after the draft. Like they're not part of the second or first wave of free agency. And
Yeah.
then you get to that point, like, you know what? Let's take our chances in the draft, and then the draft doesn't roll your way. You get those type of guys. So it's a good time to talk about remaining holes because no roster is perfect. Even the Chiefs and the Eagles have some holes, small ones, but they're there. And then the other thing, Fernando, real quick, it's good to see people enjoyed our draft recap last week of the Chargers because some people did not like our Quentin Johnston takes there. I don't think we were being that harsh. We were being realistic. But, he does fill a need, Quentin Johnson, but I don't think he fits that immediate need. But we'll discuss holes or needs on this episode.
Yeah, so definitely there are some that these guys need. And honestly, last year I thought it was the best after free agency in the draft. I thought last year was the best production that the Chargers have gotten out of guys that they've gotten late in the offseason. Maybe Brandon Flowers a couple of years ago back in like 2014 was another one. But other than that, they really got some good production out of these guys last year. And obviously this year they're going to be looking for I have three positions of need that I think they're going to be looking at, especially with what they have coming up. But number one, the other safety position. Nasir Adderley ended up retiring. Everybody was surprised he retired. And Derwin James kind of told us that at the draft, yeah, he had some complications. He thought he was done, so he ended up retiring. So now what's going to happen to that other safety spot? Well, they could go with Alohi Gilman, but Alohi kind of feels like more of a reserve player, a guy that comes in when Derwin jumps down to the box. So he knows his role. So I don't feel like they'll go that way. If they want to fill it within the team, JT Woods, remember they drafted him last year out of the third round from Baylor, and he's big, he's lengthy. The only thing is his tackling ability is kind of what lacks. And maybe he improved that in the offseason. Last year he was hurt a lot. So they didn't bring. He didn't end up playing. He played in like 2 games, and it was mostly on special teams. But maybe that's the route they go. Now, June 1st is the period where I think you can sign players, and they don't go against compensatory picks. And I don't think you have to get. You don't guarantee their contract, I believe. So one name that I think is realistic after that June 1st date is John Johnson. John Johnson got paid under Brandon Staley. He really developed under Brandon Staley. He got paid by the Browns, had a career year. Why not bring in a guy like him to come in here and know what he has in what he has on the defense. So that's definitely why I feel like the Chargers could end up bringing him in. And but yeah, those are kind of some things that's one position, Gilbert,
Well,
that I have. I don't know what you think
yeah.
about
Before you continue, before I forget the positions and the players, uh, let me chime in here, and I feel like with secondary, it is a big need, and especially at safety after surprisingly retirement of Nazir Adderley, and I think you got it right, Fernando. JT Woods and Alohi Gilman feel like rotational players. They feel like if they play like starting snaps, they might hurt you more than they can help you. And I like Alohi Gilman. He's been on a steady rise of production and improving every season. You know, when he first got there, when I was still covering the teams, what I meant, he had a big role right away because remember Derwin just got hurt his rookie year and
yeah.
he was struggling mightily. In that second year, he was doing better because he wasn't playing as much, and he's a playmaker too. And I think he's an aggressive tackler too. But if you can't really patrol the deep part of the field, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get burned, and Derwin James has to help out if you're not doing your part in the deep part of the field. And Derwin James at his best when he's roaming the field, being the playmaker, defending the tight end, rushing the passer, whatever you could think of for Derwin James, he does it. But if he's playing babysitter, it's going to hurt you. And then can you really trust JT Woods? And you want to see Fernando, was he a second round or third round pick? I'm already blanking.
Third round pick because the second rounder went to
That's right,
the Khalil Mack
Khalil
trade.
Mack trade. So
Yeah.
there's still high expectations, and you want to see what he has. But when it's such a critical big year, you can't rely on guys to pan out. So you're right. John Johnson is the way, and I totally agree with what you're saying right there.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, that's the thing is that do they feel like JT Woods done enough to kind of go in? Because I mean, when they're running the football against you and you're not doing a good job, you're gonna have to have safeties that are gonna be able to help and tackle. And I don't know if JT Woods can do that. Next, Gilbert, it's a little bit of a surprise, but not really if you really think about what's been going on this offseason, the running back position. And it's not just with Austin Eckler, obviously asking for a trade and everything to get a new contract, but it's also who's going to be running back two. I mean, I know that Brandon or Tom Telesco said that they love the guys on the roster, but I mean, let's be honest. Anytime that Joshua Kelly gets going, he ends up getting hurt. He just takes him a while back to get recovered. You have Larry Roundtree, who hasn't really shown much except for those 2 first weeks of his rookie year. And then the other guy is Isaiah Spiller, who may have a chance just because we didn't really get to see what he was last year. But that's we'll see what happens there. But say that the Chargers do trade Austin Eckler and then Dalvin Cook gets cut from the Vikings. Could they end up going and getting a Dalvin Cook, bringing him in, paying him obviously the minimum? I don't think they'll pay him like a whole much. Like they'll probably have to pay him $3 million or something like that, not something big. But that'd be interesting to see Dalvin Cook with this roster. But is Dalvin Cook like Austin Eckler? Are they kind of on the downhill of their careers? That's going to be interesting to see. But I definitely think that running back is a position that they need to take a look at.
Yeah, I'm agreeing, but just for the sake of offering something different, one thing that stood out to me during the draft, Fernando, was another running back that needed to be traded, another running back that went before Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, of the formerly of the Lions to the Eagles, and that to me, I can't figure out what it was. Is that the Eagles or teams consider Swift a better player than Austin Eckler, or was that the Chargers saying, we're not gonna give up Eckler? He's too valuable to go for like a 5th round pick, whatever Swift went for. I don't even, something crazy like that. Like so, it could be either the Chargers are gonna hold on to him for that value, and you're not gonna find a better deal than that. So might as well keep a disgruntled Eckler, or teams are saying, you know what, we don't want to deal with a guy who's small. Whatever's I forget the year, 6, 7 years.
I think Swift is also younger than Austin. So,
he is younger and he's bigger. He has injury concerns, but when he's not injured, he's very productive. But you will kind of make the debate that Eckler is more productive when he's reliable. He's healthy. He's a dynamic two-way player. So that to me was kind of I was wondering what's going on there. But it tells me more that they're going to keep Austin Eckler, and if Austin Eckler is going to be your bell cow again, that's going to be trouble because he's gotten 200 carries. I think that's the Cats. If you hear that, 200 carries the last 2 seasons. And remember, Fernando, he had a dynamic 2019 season, and I checked, he had like 132 carries. So they're really increasing the workload, and you can't be having Eckler being the number one back, or you could be the number one back, but you need another guy to step up. And it's been like a big headache for the Chargers the last 3 or 4 years.
Yep, no, completely agree. Last one is slot cornerback. Why is this important? Because obviously the Chargers had a good one last year in Bryce Callahan. Now, will they bring in Bryce Callahan? That's going to be interesting to see if they bring him back, or if they decide to go with Ja'Sir Taylor. Ja'Sir Taylor started playing cornerback for them at one point last year. They really I think he was a 7th round draft pick or 6th round draft pick for them. I think they really like Ja'Sir Taylor. I feel like they think that he could be a future a good slot corner for them. And but I mean, I still thought maybe they bring in Bryce Callahan, maybe they look elsewhere. But I'm definitely interested to see what they're going to do with that slot corner position, because Tom Telesco said we're comfortable at that position, but he didn't really give any names. He didn't say anything. Brandon also didn't really say much, but you kind of have to think that they might have to bring in somebody just because I mean, yeah, Jazier's there, but what happens injury wise, or you just never know with this team. Anything can really happen.
Yeah, it's a very thin cornerback group because overall, and you don't even know what's going to happen with J.C. Jackson. If he's not there, you lose some of that flexibility of what to do a slot cornerback. And can you rely on Michael Davis to have that great second half of last year? Can do it again? Can Asante take that next surge? And I feel like there's a lot to be determined there, and we'll find out. But before we leave, Fernando, one that I kind of was hoping to mention, but I think you put me at ease with this one. Inside linebacker, I feel like Eric Kendricks was a solid addition for experience, and maybe he still has something left to give. But in coverage, he wasn't that good last year. He took a step back, and then you can't really rely on Kenneth Murray either. He declined the fifth-year option, and then we started talking about the kid, the rookie Henley. I think Washington State, if I'm not mistaken. You like his upside. I'm gonna throw him in a story that's gonna come out. I want to say actually it'll probably be out already by the time you watch this video. SI.com. I ranked second round, third round picks who might be impact players for the respective teams. And I got Henley on there. So you talked me into it. I checked the stats, I checked some highlights. This guy's a tackling machine, and he's just scratching the surface because he started as a wide receiver in college. They were experimenting, and then he just flourished at a linebacker. So
Yeah.
you might get something there. So maybe that's why it's not a pressing need for you inside linebacker.
Yeah, no, and I mean, obviously, Derwin sometimes plays inside linebacker, so I thought, well, there's your fourth one, if need be. But yeah, no, I definitely think Henley's going to be. I think he's going to be a bigger part of this defense than what they're saying. Because why would you draft just? Oh, he plays good on special teams. You don't draft a special teams player in the third round. So unless you're who took a kicker, the 49ers, one of those
Yeah,
teams took
Jake
a kicker.
Moody.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so obviously those are the needs that the Los Angeles Chargers have according to Fernando and Gilberto.